The pounding of the train wheels slowed rhythmically, and the green landscape outside the window gradually changed to an urban jungle. Awakening from the lulling trance of the ride, I moved to the opposite seat and glanced eagerly out the window. Fortunately, I had no traveling companions, and I spent the entire trip in a half slumber, immersed in thinking about the future, which was rapidly flowing into the present. I impatiently thumbed through the newspapers lying on the table. Parents beat up daughter for becoming a doctor instead of an actor. The city's mayor passed away from a heart attack. Re-election will be held next week. The annual fall festival is postponed due to the abnormal heat. A government lab in downtown Sunlight City was abruptly shut down following sensational discoveries. A serial maniac nicknamed the Judge has been spotted on the streets of the city again. Alright, Sunlight City. The news I deserve. So much for a quiet, peaceful town. That's exactly how my brother described it, based on our rare online correspondence. A boring, backwater town where nothing happens. In fact, I'm even glad to be back in my hometown, if it weren't for the conditions of my move. We lived here as a whole family growing up, with my mom, dad, and brother Chris. But then my parents had a falling out over something, and my mom and I had to move to LA 8 years ago. No matter how hard it was to part with my brother and father, I managed to get used to the big city and joined the school community. I finished my studies and was about to go to university. But now another disaster has happened. My mom was in a car accident and passed away. I simply don't have the money to rent a place, so Chris came to the rescue. He and my father were doing well in business here, and my brother kindly invited me back to Sunlight City. He's even willing to give me a separate apartment, and I'm going back to my roots, even if not in the most pleasant conditions. I applied and was accepted to the university, which Chris kindly paid for. But I didn't have much choice in the matter. Chris and I had always gotten along since we were kids, and even from a distance we kept in touch. Outside the window, the platform with the railroad station was already floating, and the final station, Sunlight City, popped up on the scorecard. And here I am. Well, hello, old friend. Despite the fact that there were quite a few passengers in the car, a small queue formed at the exit. I rose lazily from my seat, stretching my stiff legs. Picking up my backpack, which was crammed full of my few personal belongings, I slung it behind my back and stalked toward the exit. When I got to the station, I was immediately blinded by the sun. It's a sunny city for a reason. I hid in the shade of the awning and looked around the station. There were passengers and greeters darting back and forth, though there wasn't much of a crowd. I strode to the back of the platform, looking for my brother. We had made a quick appointment to meet him somewhere on the exit, and I wrote him the number of the carriage. But I didn't see anyone like Chris at the station. I don't think we're going to miss each other. Maybe he forgot. Or is he late? I stared hard at the faces of the people, trying to catch familiar features. Yeah, sure, I hadn't seen Chris in 8 years, but he had plenty of pictures on social media. I should recognize my brother.
Psst, hey you. Yes, you. I know you're waiting for this amazing story to continue. So I'm only going to take a minute of your time. Maybe even less. See that battery icon in the corner? It will only appear during the choices. A nearly dead battery is an unimportant choice. It will have almost no effect on the plot, except for some scenes. A half-charged battery is an average choice. It will determine an important decision now or in the future, perhaps even deciding the fate of one of the heroes. A fully charged battery is an extremely important choice. It will inevitably, or after a while, lead to the death of one hero or the rescue of another. And lastly, a little life hack. In order to remove the entire interface, perhaps to create screenshots, just click on the mouse wheel. That's it. This is my goodbye. We'll probably never see each other again.
Yeah, sure. I hadn't seen Chris in 8 years, but he had plenty of pictures on social media. I should recognize my brother. I decided to wait in place a little longer. I didn't want to get lost if I went looking for him and he for me. A little hidden from the noise of the crowd, I pulled out my cell phone and started dialing, but I didn't have time. I was pulled back by a familiar voice.
Hey, Max! Oh my God, it's really you!
A guy in a stylish black jacket emerged from the crowd and waved at me. Chris Hardy looked exactly as I expected. Despite our difference of only a few years, my brother looked a lot taller and older. His hair was slicked back in an uneven comb, but beneath the mask of this serious young man was the most good-natured man I had ever known. The mere sight of him made me smile involuntarily. I waved back and hurried toward him.
Chris, so good to finally see you.
He held out his hand to say hello.
Wow, he's got a good grip. Hi, I didn't see you at first. I was getting worried. I thought maybe you forgot or something. Brother, it's been a long time. Sorry I'm a little late. I didn't expect traffic at this time.
My brother waved guiltily toward the highway. He looked at me curiously, grinning.
You've grown a lot. I'll give you that.
Chris glanced behind me, trying to see my luggage.
Don't tell me that's all you brought with you.
He grinned, pointing to my backpack over my shoulders.
It's like you're not moving to another city. You're here for a picnic.
Not that there wasn't a lot of stuff in there, but my backpack wasn't very big, so I had to tamp down some of it, and some of it wasn't necessary at all.
Well, anyway, yeah. Got all the essentials. I don't have a lot of stuff, you know?
I shrugged.
Well, the sooner you get settled in.
We walked to his parked car in the lot. I threw my backpack in the back seat and we hit the road. The town looked cozy enough, but it was much more built up than I remembered it as a child. It stood on coastal land and was actually surrounded by forests and small mountains. Many one-story buildings on the outskirts were replaced by familiar high-rises closer to the center. There were very few people on the streets. At this time, people were either studying or working. The breeze blew through the windows from the fast driving.
Thank you so much. I didn't expect your message at all. I mean, I didn't expect you to invite me back and everything. I don't even know how to thank you.
Chris smiled, but then frowned.
No problem, bro. It's all good. I got some bad news too, though.
You too? What's the matter?
My father, he had an accident. Anyway, he's gone too.
What?
God!
Chris, I am so sorry. What exactly happened? Why didn't you say something to me before?
I wanted to tell you, but you had this happen recently with your mom. I didn't want to add to your poor state of mind, so I decided to hold off. I didn't know how you'd react. Maybe you'd change your mind about moving at all. I didn't want that. I don't know all the details, but all I've been told is that when he was coming home late, he was attacked by robbers and stabbed. That's awful. You said it was quiet, peaceful town.
Did the police say that? Did they manage to catch this criminal? Yes, I was informed the next day. The killer was never found. He left no trace. My father and I haven't had much contact since my mother and I left when I was a child. My mom had forbidden it partly because of some old grudges, and then I'd forgotten all about it. But it must have been a big blow to Chris. Well, I hope they solve this case. Are you okay? Yeah, we haven't been hanging out too much lately. I was more worried about your reaction, to be honest. I didn't know how to say it. I mean, we haven't really talked much since then, bro. I think it might have been one of his business rivals. He was selling real estate, and things were going well. We had no problems with money, but that's just my speculation. The police wouldn't even listen to me. Thanks to him, we have an extra apartment where we're going now. Well, hang in there. I'm happy with any option. We drove up to one of the high-rise buildings. My brother handed me the keys and told me the apartment number. Aren't you coming? We could sit and have tea. I can't right now. I have to go on business. You get settled in. You have to go to university tomorrow, so you'd better get ready for your studies. It's never easy to join a new team, but Max, we will definitely celebrate your arrival. I have a lot of work now. Maybe the day after tomorrow. And tomorrow I can drive you to the university entrance in the morning, so you'll remember the way. Sounds great. Thank you for everything. I have your number if you need it. Of course. If you need anything, call me. I got out of the car and said goodbye to my brother. Taking the elevator, I walked into my new apartment. I have to say, I was expecting a lot less. It was already comfortably furnished, had 2 spacious rooms, and was even bigger than the one my mother and I had rented in Los Angeles. I quickly unpacked my stuff, unloaded the most important thing, my laptop. I checked the website of Sunlight City University, which is where I was transferring to. It looks old-fashioned, but I don't have much to choose from. For the rest of the day, I decided to still walk around the city and at the same time store for necessities at the store. Despite the fact that fall was already in full swing, it was warm outside. I took a leisurely stroll, familiarizing myself with the city's surroundings and thinking about upcoming events and listening to light music on my headphones. In the evening, I went to a supermarket and picked up a whole basket of groceries. I'm not very good at cooking, so I bought some ready-to-cook food so that I wouldn't have to suffer too much. But an unpleasant surprise awaited me at the checkout. The payment from my card stubbornly refused to go through. Life didn't prepare me for this, and I forgot to bring cash with me and helplessly tried to tap and swipe the card from different angles. How long are you going to keep digging around? People are waiting. Pay up or get out. I was astonished at the insolence. The girl behind me glared angrily at me. I'm sorry. I'm having trouble paying here. No one cares. People are waiting here. You can't pay. The exit is that way. Even though there was no one else in line behind me but her, it became very embarrassing. The saleswoman was sympathetically silent and then allowed me to leave everything in the basket and come back later when I sorted out the card. I stormed out of the store. I hadn't been so ashamed in a long time. I got home after dark. I had to call Chris, who said it was probably some kind of mix-up with the different banks, and he would give me a working card with the balance tomorrow morning. So, without much thought, I set my alarm clock and went to bed. For tomorrow, Chris picked me up as promised and drove me to the university. I also got a new card from him and some cash, just in case. We agreed to meet tomorrow after school and go out for pizza at a local restaurant to celebrate the reunion. He wished me good luck and left on business. The university's brick building could be seen from afar. the entrance lined with neat trees and bushes. I looked at the time. There was still 15 minutes to spare, but I had to find the right classroom. I went up to the principal's office, signed some papers, and got my locker keys. Then I went looking for it. There were a lot of people inside, guys bustling around, chatting, and walking the hallways. Here is my locker. Almost approaching my locker, I suddenly felt the ground go out from under my feet, and I almost fell, crashing into it. A grinning, huge guy grew next to me. He was wearing a tight black t-shirt that apparently didn't fit him, and long red shorts. I didn't immediately realize what had happened. He cackled in a bass voice, and only then did I realize it was a footstep.
Look where you're going. You're not on your feet at all.
The guy muttered with a sneer in his eyes as he leaned against my locker.
Who the hell are you? I've never seen you before.
I'm new, and this is my locker. Please go away. I don't want any trouble. Why make enemies on the first day? I decided to act with restraint, despite the obvious provocation from a local member of the bullfrog family.
Really? 'Cause it looks a lot like mine. I must have got them mixed up.
The jock grinned, pointing to a row of identical lockers. It's okay. It happens. So, can I go through?
You sure it's yours? What's your name? Your name's not here.
It's none of your business.
Well, look, my name is Grant. It would be rude if you didn't tell me your name.
That's great, Grant. Your name's not on it either. Now I have to hurry to class.
So go ahead. It's like I'm holding you. Just watch your step next time. We will definitely meet again.
He hummed, clearly pleased with himself, and walked past, nudging me with his shoulder. Well, it could have been worse. I finally got to my locker and threw my stuff in there. What do we have for class? We're supposed to have math class now. It's only a few minutes before it starts, so we'd better find the right cabinet. And then I realized that I had no idea where I could find it. The university website seemed to have it on it, but I forgot to look at it, of course. Oh, great. What am I going to do? The most logical thing to do is look on the university website. Of course it is. There must be free Wi-Fi here. I opened the list of networks and searched. Indeed, found the Wi-Fi network and tried to open the university's website. It's loading, but it's slow. Shit. In an attempt to speed up the process somehow, I started walking the corridors. Perhaps somewhere would catch a better signal. Now, that's different. I went to the window and it was on. But inertia kept me moving, staring at my phone, and then I bumped foreheads with someone in front of me. Ouch. I looked up and saw a girl about my height in front of me. Her long red hair fell down behind her back, wireless headphones in her ears, an obscure black and green collar around my neck, and two large emerald eyes staring at me indignantly. Sorry, I was just looking at my phone and I didn't see you. I can see that, but what are you doing here? Your cabinet's here the other way. Skipping studies? That's why I came here. I have better internet coverage. It's my first day. I know what subject I know, but I forgot to look where it is. Well, you're new. You need to learn everything. You can't count on free Wi-Fi. Cell phone internet is better here. Why don't I Google it for you? What class do you need? The onslaught of her questions and suggestions even made me a little confused.